Ho, ho, ho. This is Rocket Santa. Greg Allison as Galactic Greg is coming to you live, late, actually, really early. It is the 20th, 5 days from Ho Ho Day, the 20th of December. Time on deck 02, 3300 hours Central Standard Time. And please excuse my squeaky chair. I just put a whole bunch of this oil on it, and it's still squeaky. Anyway, hope everybody's doing well. Let me come over here to my channel. You know what? I didn't do that. It's meant to come over here first. Give me a guys. Pull up the chat or I can monitor it better than here. And we got some things to talk about today. We're going to talk about a space plane or space plane technology, an area that's been a lot of people have had some interest in since way back in the 70s, a whole new technology that may come out. We're going to go into that in just a second, but I'm going to try to set up where I can watch you guys. So this is a live session for the people that don't know channels and my stuff. Live sessions are kind of the session here on my channels. So let's see who's with us here. I'm coming over. There we are. And oh, wait a minute. That hit a video, didn't hit my live. Oh, I went to the wrong spot entirely. All right, let's try that again, guys. Sorry about this. I usually set this up before I start my videos. So I'm not showing here. Where am I at? Oh, there it is. Oh, gosh. Sorry about that, guys. All right, we got how many people in the room? Only 7? Wow. All right, we've been going a couple of minutes. We only got 7 in the room. Hopefully more people in a minute. Howdy, y'all. How are your two? Oh, in 2 places. Oh, the other video hadn't ended. Well, I got over here. Sometimes those videos will run for a little bit. Let's come on over here. Goon to the left of me, Goon to the right. Time to say good night. All right, good night. Thank you for helping out so much there, Katie. Oh my God, you're cloned. Uh-oh, there's 2 of us. Yeah. All right, that video just hadn't shut down yet. Sometimes they will run just a little bit longer. All righty, guys. Let's yeah, well, it's late. You know, it's getting up toward 4 in the morning her time. She's over in Maine. Maine, it's hard to explain. Everything on Maine. So let's see what's cooking here, guys. All right, so you guys have been to my very good. Y'all have gone to my Rumble channel. I do have a Soilhead News over there. All right. Oh, there was I look just like on the other channel. How about that? Daggum clones. Yeah, we got a cloning technology here. All right, guys. So let's do some shares. We're going to talk about this space plane. Give me a second. Oops, hit the wrong buttons. Please. And share. Here we go. Russia is alarmed as spacecraft heats up after. Oh, that's not the one I'll go to. Yeah, that's we're going that last, next to last. Let's see. Oh, not there. Here we are. This is what I'm going to talk about. Mayhem. Mayhem. Secret new, it can't be too secret if we're talking about it, right? Secret new U.S. hypersonic spy jet unveiled. You unveiled it, but it's secret. How does that work? It's secret, but it's unveiled. Okay. It's named Mayhem. So this is American military news. Now, what they're talking about here is an air-breathing jet that has a scramjet motor to it. The scramjet is a supersonic combustion ramjet. Now, a ramjet need a turbine because the plane is going so fast that it jams the air into the jet engine at high enough pressure and temperatures that the air automatically ignites with fuel. The scramjet is running so fast that the combustion can't even take place in the engine. It's got to be outside the engine, behind it. Well, in order to make that work, they built part of the fuselage as if it were a nozzle, like half a nozzle. Kind of a notion, I don't know, we'll have to talk about rockets one of these days, aerospikes. It's like half an aerospike engine. So what happens is the air is actually combusting out of it. It's not flaming out. You right, it won't flame out. You'll have the propulsion from side pushing up on the fuselage, which was going to have to be like part of your nozzle. Well, this kind of a aircraft takes a lot of computer power to design. There was a concept called Star Raker that was popularized back in the 70s, and it was written about in T.A. Heppenheimer's book, Colony in Space. It's one of the first place I saw it. And Daniel Twitt, who comes in here occasionally, knew actually T.A. Heppenheimer dated one of his girlfriends. That's how close it was. T.A. Heppenheimer wrote, like I said, a book called Colonies in Space. It was a good book. But he talked about this idea for getting to space cheap. Now, we just talked about over on Swivelhead News how Elon thinks he can get payloads to space, at least cost-wise to him, for $9 a pound, as opposed to the shuttle days when it was like $15,000 a pound. Huge difference. $15,000 a pound or $9 a pound. Well, he'd have to charge more than $9. That's the cost of his fuel. He's still got to pay for the amortization of some of his vehicle development and the vehicles he builds, and he's going to charge a profit on it. So he's probably going to be $20, $25 a pound, maybe $15, $15,000, the orders of magnitude. Wow, guys, that's a huge difference in price. So that can make a huge difference in what we can do with space. We built this International Space Station at that price. What can we do with Starship if it works right? I think hopefully Elon, if the certain political crowds don't take him out, can make this thing work. So we'll have to wait and see what he can pull off with Starship. I'm really anxious because in order to colonize space and achieve our dream, we've got to have a lot of means to get space on ways. And one idea is to have it like an airplane service. And there it is. I got to be careful what I show here. But this is kind of the notion of it. Now, you might have seen something look kind of like that in the Ronald Reagan days. Reagan was proposing something called the National Aerospace Plane. The National Aerospace Plane was to be the next step. It was kind of like Moonraker. You ever heard of Moonraker with James Bond? Well, that was a space shuttle, actually, Moonraker. But Star Raker is the concept that got morphed into National Aerospace Plane. And we tried to actually do a program to develop this back in the Reagan days, but it was just, we just couldn't develop the technology. We didn't have the computational power at that time. Well, now we finally, as the United States has finally developed an air-breathing hypersonic missile. And that's what this is. It's air-breathing hypersonic. The Russian hypersonics are not air-breathing. And I don't think the Chinese ones are either. But that's where we're going. We're trying to get to the air-breathing hypersonics. If you can build a jet based on that, it will first have a military application. Let's hope they don't classify it to the point they can't be used for civilian transports, because they do. Rocket efficiency, man, this is past afterburner. This is outside the whole jet engine, completely outside. Kind of like an afterburner, but way outside. Pushing on the fuselage, you got to use the fuselage as your nozzle. And it's got a big air scoop in the front. Well, if you do it right, the body of the airplane helps serve as the air scoop and the air and the nozzle too. So the shape of the airframe is crucial to making this work right. It does require a lot of computational power to come up with that. Well, Elon's system is reusable, but he's got to carry a lot of oxidizer. Liquid oxygen is very heavy. An air-breathing engine, though, breathes mostly what's in the air to get its velocity. And it's the first part of the rocket flight where you consume most of your fuel. And most of your fuel in your rocket goes to lift and fuel, believe it or not, because most of the way the rocket is fuel. So it's kind of, the rocket equation is kind of rough. But most of the weight of the rocket is fuel to lift other fuel, the fuel that gets you that final bit of velocity. But the efficiency of the system changes that a lot. The more efficient it is, the less fuel you got to take. A ground-based rocket like a space shuttle main engine operates at an efficiency, measured in a specific impulse, which is kind of like miles per gallon. It's pound fuel burn per pound thrust gain for pound fuel burn. That's the layman's way to explain it. An engineer would explain it in terms like C star and blah, 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 blah. I'm not going there. Pounds thrust produced per pound fuel burn. So, but the unit measures in seconds. Most good liquid engines get on, maybe the best solids like the shuttle and the, this guy might get over 300 seconds for a solid, but most solids are in the 200-second range. 200 seconds of specific impulse. Elon's engine, the space shuttle main engines, which are now being used on the space line system, Artemis rockets, they they're the most efficient engine there is. They have the highest specific impulse you'll probably ever see in a liquid rocket motor. But Elon's motors are far more reusable, those Raptors, and those are remarkable engines. We're way ahead in terms of mass production, reusability, and reliability. They're far more reliable. Are they reliable enough to fly 33 at a time and do so repeatedly over time? Time will tell us. What's an air breather mean? It means that it don't carry liquid oxygen on board. It means that it breathes oxygen from the atmosphere. A rocket carries its own oxygen on board because they're kind of banking the idea they're not going to be able to breathe air from the atmosphere because most of the rocket flight is in space above the atmosphere. But it's got to go through the atmosphere to get there. This is my Space Launch System rocket. So, yeah, like I said, forgive my squeaky's chair. I just ordered the devil out and it's still squeaking. So you got to carry most of that up with you. Now, Star Raker is a plane. Well, just imagine this is an airplane. It's got wings instead of solid rocket boosters. So it flies like this through the atmosphere and builds up velocity. Like I said, the efficiency of the very best rocket engines are these engines right here. And they get about, I don't know, is it like 425? I don't remember exactly. I have to look that up again. Seconds of specific impulse. The scramjet engines, which would fly on this Mayhem missile or on a national aerospace plane, whatever you want to call it down the road, a Star Raker, whatever they're going to name it, they'll name it something all over again. They'll have a specific impulse of 2,000 seconds, something like that, about 2,000 seconds because they're breathing air. You don't have to carry all that fuel. So the only fuel they're burning is not the oxygen, which is heavy. It's just the liquid hydrogen or whatever, methane, whatever fuel they got in them. They're going to be far more efficient. You love the Santa outfit. Well, thank you there, Susie. Ho, ho, ho. I'm Space Rocket Santa here tonight. Mine is good. I opened house door when 19 degrees F. Ho, ho, ho. Green giant. All right, guys. So, there we go. That is SLS Artemis rocket, Space Launch System. This is a space shuttle. And this is Elon's concept. It's quite possible a breathing missile, hypersonic missile turned into an aerospace plane would be more efficient than this and safer to fly. It could be far more efficient and cheaper. So if Elon can get you to space for $9, $15 a pound with this, that might even be cheaper yet. It probably won't carry cargo as big as this, though. If you want really big cargo, huge chunks, Elon will probably still be the way to go for a long time. Probably a long time before they built an aerospace plane big enough to compete with the size and volume that Elon's planning to fly in these. And when you're stick building things in space from small parts, that costs a lot of money. So even if there's a national aerospace plane or something like it comes along again in the future, it might be the cheapest way to get people in orbit, but to get to really big for space stations, Mars, Venus bases, asteroid mine, or whatever, this would probably still be the cheapest way to go. Probably still the cheapest way to go. Sometimes you save money on integration, putting a little bit pieces together, like the International Station took a lot of time costs a ton of money, and you lose efficiency over what sometimes really big systems might do. So there's a lot of advantages to being able to take it, go full screen. Okay. Hang on, I hadn't finished sharing articles here. Go full screen. Bang, but I kind of already done that. Oops, what happened here? Stop share. Oh. Halo. So again, maybe I should do that again. So the biggest weight of the fuel. Now, if you look at fraction, how much of the fuel is in here, you'd find, and Starship's got methane for fuel. Methane is not as efficient in specific impulse, but it won't give you the leaking problems liquid hydrogen gives you. And the engines will be a lot more reusable that burn this stuff. So overall, corporate strategy is really the way to go. Plus, you can make methane on the surface of Mars, so they can make rocket fuel on Mars that if it burns methane, come back. Now, there probably was enough water on Mars. You probably could have made hydrogen, but hydrogen is so leaky. So 2,000 seconds divided by 6. Well, in this case, it's just part of the math and unit analysis. That's the unit that pops out. 33.3 minutes. Oh my God. Well, it's roughly 2,000 seconds, guys. So yeah, all right. You got a bunch of threes. I know where you're at, unknown. So, so most of the weight is going to be the oxidizer. Liquid oxygen is heavy. Oxygen is heavy. And so if you can breathe that air, most of that oxygen from air, especially starting out where most of the propulsion is just to lift fuel. If you can cut a lot of that out in 1,000 seconds, then you got a huge leg up on getting into space. But they need to be able to get it over Mach 6, which you should be able to do with the scramjet, way over Mach 6, and up to good enough altitude. And then the rockets can kick in and take it on to orbit. So I don't see stuff as big as what would fly on Starship going on the National Aerospace plane. And like I said, a lot of the cost of the International Space Station was, we were launching all these things that would fit inside the payload bay. And we couldn't put up a payload at 60 foot long because she couldn't land good. The center of gravity landing was off if we occupied the whole payload bay. They didn't know that when they started this program, but that's what they found later. And so 40 foot was the max, and most of our, a lot of our elements were a lot shorter than that went up the International Space Station. So we had to go shorter elements and tons of them to build something of the International Space Station size. But it's kind of like the idea of building imagine building a dump truck out of stuff the size of a coffee cup. And there were pieces got to be like an interface in between lug nuts or something, or like like how you put the lid on a pressure cooker. That would not be an efficient system. Just think about it. It works. We've had the International Space Station fly for several years. The fact that they can make it work after all that is amazing. Just imagine if they launched the whole space station in one launch. Which Saturn V did a space station in one launch. This rocket could do a space station in one launch on orders better than a Skylab. Skylab had a huge internal volume. Skylab was quite a space station. I have to do some videos on that here, not too distant future. And we got a couple Skylab mock-ups here at the Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville. I knew one of the astronauts that flew on Skylab, Owen Garriott. He passed away though. His son, though, has flown the International Space Station. Owen Garriott flew on an Apollo 1 rocket to Saturn 1 rocket to the Skylab was launched on Saturn V. He flew on Saturn 1 to get to Skylab, and later flew on the space shuttle. I think he flew twice on the space shuttle. But this rocket is going to be bigger than these guys, and it will carry. Now this is really Starship 1.0. Elon's planning a Starship that's twice as big. Woo! And it'll be more efficient at the, for cost-wise per pound flown, operationally at least. How long will it get to Uranus? The planet will take a while to get to. Depends on how fast you're going. Yeah, it's going to take a few years to get up that far, guys. A few years, unless we go to fusion power. Several years. Several years. Even our best rockets still take several years to get. So star travel You know, you're talking 20,000. Our fastest probe we've ever sent out of the solar system, going to the nearest star, would take 20,000 years. There are ideas though for systems that get stuff out there a lot faster. So they're working on new technology. We'll just have to see what comes out. But yeah, sneeze, guys. Excuse me. How much will food weigh for crew? Some good food and water is all part of that cost, because you know, it's going to be the cost of your body weight plus all the food and water it takes to maintain you, and that it adds up. What we hope is we come up with cycles for recycling all this stuff, where you don't have to bring everything you're going to consume for a year up. Food wise, you know, we need to work on technologies for growing food. Now, I think on Mars initially going there, Elon is planning to carry everything. But that's why I like things. That's why I diddle with things like aquaponics. That's why I diddle with things like greens. This is a you got to grow eventually, get in space. Yeah, Chinese definitely are. Jump falls back there. Yeah, the Chinese are. Yeah, they're going gung ho big time for this stuff. I've got to do some more videos on Chinese guys. I will be doing that. I got a whole video about why we don't want them to go to the moon. Got to do that. I've been working up the equation. Got to put it all in. I got some of the PowerPoint built, but I got to finish it. Everyone have a great night. Well, thank you, Susie. Thank you for joining us. Susie Gemini. Gemini, that's a good space name. We got 22 people doing microgreens this week. Hey, drops, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been growing microgreens for several years now. Over 4. I was growing them before the Green Grapes channel. Probably for 4.5 years, let's say. I think there's a big asteroid in the Kuiper Belt the size of a small planet that we can build a jump off point. Hey, listen, guys, I'm going to have to cover this soon. There is a concept showing how you can take like a 300-foot asteroid, like a huge space habitat, because it's all mass thick. You know, when you enlarge it and then build a shell about, you know, couple, you know, maybe 7 foot of metal or 7 inches of metal and maybe 6 foot of regolith to be radiation shielding, or soil, as you might call it, crushed rock, then you get a habitat that's way bigger, way bigger. So it's amazing what you can do. How about crew hibernate during trip? Well, that's a possibility. They're working on some technology like that, but clean or something. Yeah, I know, for 3 years for me, for microgreens. There you go, Drops. Guys, check Drops out. Check out his channel. There's a video on microgreens. Well, I'm glad you liked it, Arnold. A lot of the preppers just hated those microgreens videos. I had them fussing and unsubscribing. So I basically quit doing them for a long time, and I just did a few. Maybe I'll slip back in, especially when I start moving the preppers over to Swivelhead News. And we'll keep space on this channel. Broccoli microgreens, they do. Broccoli microgreens are, they have something which builds the glutathione, which is essential for your immune system. So, and a microgreen is about 40 times more potent in nutrients than a full-grown vegetable, up to 40 times. So it's like almost all the nutrients the plant's ever going to have is in it when it's a little bitty microgreen. It just grows bigger. You get more fiber, maybe a little more water. So that's what it boils down to, guys. It's pretty amazing what microgreens can do for you. So you get just sprinkle a little bit on whatever you're eating, and it's like you're getting a huge salad. It's a lot more nutritious. All right, let's go back into share again. Let's share some more stuff here. Share screen, bing, 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 bing. There we go again. There's the space plane. So Mars, guys. Mars is shaking and quaking. And inside the planet, it's a bacon. She's rumbling. And it may come out and go tumbling with volcanic explosions again. They thought Mars was dead. They thought it was geologically inactive. They thought nothing had blown up there for tens of millions of years. But guess what? They've had some recent large Mars quakes, and now they're finding an area of uplift that the only explanation they can come up with is a mantle plume, which means there's a hot magma rising as a plume like lava in a lava lamp through the oil coming up toward the surface. It could surface and explode like Krakatoa, like the Yellowstone. Except there's no Yellowstone on Mars, it'd be Redstone. Oh, wait, that's where I work. I work on Mars, so how can it be Redstone? Redstone on Mars. Well, there you go, guys. How about that? So this could be a major eruption. Now, how would Martian settlements fare with something like that? Well, you won't be around the eruption, that's for sure. Climate-wise, they usually cool climate off on Earth. On Mars, it would actually add atmosphere a little bit. It might not cool it off as much. So, yeah, Mars has got a very different atmosphere. Mars' atmosphere is like Earth's atmosphere, 100,000 feet up. It's only 1/100th the pressure of ours. Now, it's different in its carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide has a higher molecular weight, which gives you a little bit more, seem to be more density in a sense. So that makes it interesting. Mars quakes suck. Yeah, I bet, Anton. So, well, must be oxygen in there. Well, there is water on Mars. So you could get oxygen and hydrogen out of the water. Now, we don't, there's Mars an ocean, but it boiled up because Mars don't have much of a magnetic field. It couldn't protect its atmosphere from the sun. The sun stripped most of its atmosphere away. And when the atmospheric pressure drops down to a certain point, water would just automatically flash the steam. And it probably went up the upper atmosphere, and the sun probably electrolyzed it, and the the hydrogen floated away, and the oxygen fell into the iron and rusted it. Made ours red. Of course, a lot of the oxygen blew away. A lot of everything was in the atmosphere, stripped away by the sun. So most oxygen probably didn't come back down. It went away just like the hydrogen and everything else was in the atmosphere. So Mars is an interesting place, geologically speaking. Now they're finding it's alive, which also means you could have geothermal energy if you drill deep enough. Ace Lee, how are USA's rovers on Mars? They're doing well, Ace. They're doing well. So that's the kind of story there. Mars is, well, there's some good news to that. I don't think that like on Earth, if you had a Yellowstone, it'd be like the end of life on Earth. On Mars, probably not. Mars is already totally inhospitable. So you got to build for that from the get-go. So you're probably going to be good. But if they terraform Mars, like some people want to do, and try to make it an Earth atmosphere, and then you got an explosion like that, then it would be a bad day. They probably happen every tens of few millions of years on Mars, not as frequent as here. So here's what happens. On Mars, they don't have plate tectonics. On Earth, we got some plates of crust floating around the mantle. That's probably because Earth got hit real hard, and a lot of the material that would form mantle got kicked off into space and formed the moon. The moon has about the same density as continental crust. So it helps you think that's the right thing that happened. It's kind of, if you ever got the marbles on the little swing set like thing, you pick one up and drop it, and the marble on the other end pops out. Imagine if Earth got hit on one side by something, the material on the other side would pop off. Boing! There's your moon. So rinse them when we rinse them. All right, jars, I just fill them with water 3 times a day. Okay. Do we know where Mars plants are located on the fault lines? I don't know about Mars plants. Speculation. Yeah, I do think Mars has got bugs. I do think Mars is alive because it probably had life once. Earth had life so fast, might have even originated on Mars or from some asteroid or comet, most likely, or another star system. Just, I believe life took a long time to evolve. As a single cell is a very complex mechanism. In fact, as soon as rocks on Earth cool down enough for the life to be on them, they had life on them. The fossils are there. So Mars, I think if you go down under the soil in places where there may still be liquid water, even if it's just as Mars goes through its seasons, there's a good chance to find life there. If you go down even deeper in Mars, where the interior warms the planet up as you go deep, there's going to be a layer in there where you won't have liquid water. What about plate sand time? We know where Mars plates. Oh, Mars don't have plates. Mars is one solid crust, the same way on Venus. There's not plates. It's one big solid contiguous crust. And that's what you would really expect if you ever melt lead or something like that, you know that the heavy stuff like lead goes to the bottom and all the impurities, the lighter stuff floats to the top, and it will make a solid crust across the top. That's why I think part of our crust got knocked off, which is probably a good thing for us. If it weren't for the fact that the continents were actually moving around, it's that motion that drives them up above sea level and keeps, and the volcanic action, the motion, all that, because rainwater erodes mountain chains. It erodes everything. We wouldn't have any land due to rainfall if it was plate tectonics. It'd be an ocean planet. And so that's the kind of thing you would get on some of these planets. Look at frozen periods on Earth. Anything under salt beds had life. Yeah. So you might have that on Mars, just microscopic organisms. And I would say most of them would be deep underground at about whatever level the water is still liquid before it gets to boiling. Wherever the water is liquid deep underground, you're liable to have, they say most of them, the mass of life on Earth is actually way underneath our feet, in those rocks underneath our feet. So I would expect the same on Mars. Mars has no nitrogen. So yeah, plants as we know them got to have nitrogen. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and phosphate. Phosphorus, which I talked about in green Greg's earlier today, is critical for forming roots and flowers and stuff like that. A lot of the genetic material. So, hey Lee, how you doing? Welcome to GS. We're talking Mars going boom. Mars is alive, Lee. At least volcanically, and there's a mantle plume rising on Mars. It seems there are Mars quakes, and I think there's probably life down where there's liquid water. So how you doing, Lee? That's what we're talking about here. We talked about this national. You remember the National Aerospace Plane, Lee? Well, look here. It's coming back as a missile. Now we got we actually finally built an air-breathing hypersonic engine with the military, the Air Force. We now have a concept for a jet, air-breathing hypersonic jet, which would probably be a UAV, and it would be an Air Force project. They're calling it Mayhem. It would probably wreck a lot of mayhem on somebody. But this is a step toward a national aerospace plane, a true hypersonic space plane, which could be very revolutionary for space travel. I'm going to go into this volcanic aspect. I'll probably do a special video on maybe even the space plane. I'll probably do a special video on this, maybe if I can get around to it, on Green Galactic Greg's here. Now, here's another thing, guys. This Soyuz spacecraft leaked its coolant out. Well, guess what? It's heating up. It's getting hot in that spacecraft because they don't have the system to keep it cool anymore. So I'm really not expecting to see any astronauts going home in this thing. I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I did a video on this earlier, and I said, hey, can I bum a ride? Martian soil is fine and regular, blanket of unconsolidated heterogeneous superficial deposits covering solid rock, including its toxicity due to the presence of chlorates. You're exactly right. Well, chlorate is like a bleach. So imagine trying to grow plants in soil that's got bleach built into it. It's going to be tough. That's what I'm saying. Mars is going to be a tough place to settle. Very tough. You got to clean the regolith before you can use it. I have a concept for that, but hey. Yeah, we need to talk about that in a minute. We'll do space weather, and then we'll talk about perchlorate and regolith, Martian regolith. Oh yeah, let's Smurf Lee. That's right. Lee hadn't been here on Galactic Graves before. Ding, 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 ding. Add moderator. Oh, Lee, you just got smurfed. I felt dumb asking questions. No, no, no. Good questions there, Anton. Ain't no dumb question. In fact, you made good points there. It's a good discussion that can come out of that. Imagine trying to live with high galactic cosmic rays. Yeah, you're going to have all that because the atmosphere is not going to protect you on Mars. No protection from the atmosphere. So you need to be underground. If Matt Damon can do it in the movies, all silverheads can do it. Well, actually, he was kind of a step in the right direction in that he had a habitat that had huge walls. It wasn't an inflatable thing. I see all these people drawing inflatables on the surface of Mars. I'm going, that ain't going to work. You're not going to have an inflated greenhouse on Mars. The Martian winds and the sand would tear it up. Micrometeoroids would tear it up. The UV from the sun would make all the plastic break. It's going to freeze at night. And, you know, it just no way. That ain't going to work on Mars. But his was in a kind of close to my concept. Let's go back to that, and then we'll talk regular. Where's my channel at? Let's see. Here we are. Galactic Gregs. Let's hit videos. I'll find everything on my channel. Hit videos. Now we're going to scroll down here. This is my universal habitat as an architect drew it out for me. But before that happened, I had a friend draw this thing on, not draw it, he built a sim in an application called Kitely. You can go into and walk around in this sim. And so I've got a circular version of my habitat concept right here. It's simmed in Kitely. I'll have to take us back in here again one night. Maybe, I don't know if we can do this live session because you got to like wear headphones. Just kind of odd stuff you got to do to make it work in Kitely, the sim. And they moved the habitat. But this is my concept for a habitat on Mars, and it's mostly underground. And it's got huge tanks of water overhead to help bright radiation. And they got to be pretty deep too. So, and here's my colonized Venus. It's there. I had a few videos on in the Mars habitat on here. That's one. Yuri's not from Mars. Oh shoot!
I've been here since 1894. I do not.
Hang on, we got to skip this ad. It's like a tunnel there. That's one of the tunnels. Now that's my avatar. I can put a spacesuit on the avatar. Wow. I'm sitting there reading that stuff for Yuri's night. That was something they were celebrating on this habitat, and I didn't do all that, but hey. Here we are. There it is. That's inside of it right there. How did it go back to there? Anyway. Yeah, I can fly in this video. Video. This is a simulation you can go into. You can walk around, do all kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. It's in Kitely. But my more refined concept is the one my architect drew out here. Universal habitat, best home for any place on Earth or in space. So this girl, she drew it. And I'm beginning to show how it would work on Venus. A lot of views in here. There we go. This is a home, based on a tenth of an acre. If you look at on my Greg's channel, you see how the DeVace family on a tenth of an acre grows all their food except for grain products, and they sell food from it and make a living from that same tenth of an acre. They're supporting 3 adults now. Used to support 4 when her dad, Jules, was alive. What's not in our lifetime, Lee? Well, we can, SMD politicians are the first to establish governance. Oh, Lord. Population control. Look, you know what? You can have all the population you want. He says, anyone who goes to Mars will not come back to Earth alive. Not the way they're talking about doing it right now. That's why my system is mostly underground. And it's using some sunlight, but it's filtered through a lot of water for radiation proofing. Mars is a harsh place. That's why I did colonize Venus first. But this is this could be on Earth, or it could be in my Venus habitat. My Venus habitat concept has these inside of it. And it's a cloud city. You can't go to the surface of Venus; it's too hot. Let's go. Oh yeah, I was in the wrong place. I'm one of, shoot, now I got the ads again. Let's see here. So let's skip ahead to where. This tells you how you can feed, how much feed American takes, how to grow it, how to feed it. Cover that vase. I've actually did my food 9/11 video, which tells you exactly how to grow enough food to feed yourself off a tenth of an acre. This is this thing's got a couple of decks, but I thought here's the buoyancy calculations. Will it float? Buoyancy. Actually, these are for Earth's atmosphere. Venus's atmosphere is far more buoyant. And in fact, it does better than float. It's too buoyant. This is the view of it. Shoot, I'm on the Mars there. There's Earthship houses. Let's see. Trying to find where the architect drew just a little bit of it. She's going to go back and finish for me. Somewhere I've got where it's not just my drawings, it's hers. Her renderings. Oh well. Ah, there it was. These are the terraces inside of one of the decks of this inflatable city. Now these are basically that habitat set down here. This would be almost full habitats, my universal habitat, with little streets going through here. Inside the Venus habitat. Let's see here. Oh, how come I can't advance the chat room? It's stuck way up somewhere. That touch screen. Well, the cool thing about my habitat concepts on Earth is you got a greenhouse. The whole house is in a greenhouse. And it's got thermal mass. It's thick walls. It's kind of like an Earthship on steroids. It's like so this is a side view of it. And this is that terrace you saw that she drew. There'd be one down here. And I could put other stuff in here. In fact, the problem is I need to put more mass in this thing. That's a side view of the terrace showing the habitats, other room available in there. Wait a minute, she had where was that? I just saw her, there it is. Right there, that's kind of her cut on it. There's some things she didn't quite understand about it. I got to have her redo. But she's working on it, so I'll get her to finish this up. Kind of ran out of money at the time, but I'm paying her to do this. She's an architect. She actually is very reasonable. So there you go. This is something I'm up that Venus. When you get to 50 kilometers, up about 30 miles in the Venetian atmosphere, the pressure is the same as on Earth, on the surface of Earth, and the temperature is the same. It's got an acidic atmosphere though, so you'd have to wear basically a frog suit and a breathing apparatus because they don't have oxygen. But CO2 has a molecular weight of 29, so it's actually denser at the pressure, denser at the pressure, so much so that if you hermetically sealed a house, it would float. It would float in the atmosphere of Venus. So this thing is way too buoyant. Actually, this would float way above this. This would float where it's much cooler up, way up in the atmosphere. It should probably be a good thing. Get away from some of the weather. Now I could make it, you know, I could put more weight in or take stuff out. So part of my plan is you hang structures beneath this, manufacturing facilities, maybe just you dredge soil off the surface of Venus. And yeah, we have materials that will survive the temperatures, both cabling and dredges. So when I was just, hey, I just did a video, Lee. I was talking about their coldest winter in 40 years, coldest Christmas in 40 years. Even CNN had to admit to it. So that's what I just did over in Green Griggs earlier tonight. So this is one of my concepts right here. So I've got a lot of concepts I've been working up relative to this concept for a universal habitat. Hey, I got it on Mars, I got it on Earth, got it in Venus. Secretly, I'm sure Russia, China, US, galactic grade is Amy Eskridge. Amy was talking about that stuff. It's talking about people researching it, not, we didn't know any actual operational systems. I think that TR7 or TR3, whatever that thing is ion wind drive. Sunspots affect long-term climate on Earth. Yeah. Yeah, they do. Especially the lack of them means you got more galactic cosmic rays coming in. Let me stop the share. Wait, before I do that, maybe I should go. Yeah, let's stop the share. I'm going to cut this up, this other screen while I talk this, and I'll find another video I've done. Where did I do that at? Might have been, this on Swivelhead News. Maybe I should just find a PowerPoint and bring it up. Might be a better thing to do. PowerPoint. So let me see if I can find a PowerPoint on this. I did a presentation that Lee would like. I think Lee missed it. Where is it at? I gotta go down. Give me a second, guys. Sorry about this. Ding, 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 ding. Computer got to update, change things for me. So I'm running Microsoft 10 on this and I'm running on the laptop, but they're implemented differently. There we go, Microsoft Office. Just open PowerPoint. That'll be one of the files. It should come in my selection of things to look at. When in a GSM, we get more galactic cosmic rays coming in. Yeah, that's true. Galactic cosmic rays cause cloud nucleation. The cloud nucleation changes the albedo of the Earth's atmosphere, which means more of the sunlight gets reflected back out, which means below there it gets colder. And this was Svensmart, was that guy's name that showed that stuff to us? Let's see, 4T. No, it ain't one of those. Where's it at? Okay, I'm gonna have to go into something else to pull this up. All right, give me a minute. I'm not where I want to be. I got to find this computer reset, so all my stuff I had open crashed. Give me a second, guys. find this presentation. Not there. Here. I usually got all this stuff open. Go to here. No, over here. Ooh, what happened to that presentation? I did a presentation on climate. Should be at the top of the list here. What's this presentation at? Oh, it's not good. I can't find it. And accidentally erase it or lose it. Look right. I'm in the right system here. Should be right here. I might have saved it in a different directory. Leave it where I normally save stuff. Possibility. Leave it. I thought Lee would like to see this. Where the devil did I put it? All right, I'm wasting y'all's time. I'm sorry, guys. I thought that this is something that's going to talk to what you're talking about big time. And I did a presentation on it. Several PowerPoint charts. I made a big case. I did it on it. It's probably, oh gosh, what's that? It's not there. It's not there. Be there. Yeah, no. All right, I'm not a happy camper. I can't video. My EMP folder. Wax. No, no, no. Okay, guys, I have a presentation that's missed. That's sad. It's not like me. I'll have to hunt it, but there's maybe I can find the video. But I think I did the video on my Silverhead News channel. What I was talking about was the fact that Earth has been getting coolly. Earth has been off for the last 65 million years. The temperature has been going for 65 million years. But not only, there's been a few blips along the way, like 50 million years ago in that so-called Great Warming. And then we got into the Ice Age, which is the Quaternary Ice Age, which has been going on for over 2 million years. In this Ice Age, we get 100,000 year periods of glaciation, and then we get these little interglacials. It's about 10 to 15,000, it's about 10 to 12,000 years long. Well, 12,000 years ago is when we came out of the last Ice Age. And when this warmer period, it's usually a spike. Ours kind of got truncated and it's been kind of cut off, almost level, but not quite level. Because this period that we're in right now, this interglacial is known as a Holocene. Within the Holocene, from when it started to now, the temperature has been going down. Now, before the Holocene, 2 million years, no. There was a period, I have to go back and look at this, guys. There was a period, yeah, just there was a period, a warmer period where Greenland, that might have been 20,000. I'll go back and check out this, guys. I got it in the video. Greenland had forest in Greenland. Greenland was green. There was bunny rabbits, all kinds of stuff hopping around in Greenland. And at that point in time, it was warmer than it is today. Had to be to have forest in Greenland, right? Forest, bunny rabbits, mastodons, all kind of stuff. In northern Greenland, you get people telling us that if the Earth's temperature goes up just a little bit, we're going to cease to exist. We're going to die out. You know, Greta and a whole lot of that crowd told us that we would die out long ago. They said you had 5 years, 10 years. Okay. We're in Galactic Gregs. This is not a channel for political topics, so we won't get off of it. But, you know, next glaciation begins 1,500 years, followed by the Milosevic cycles. Those drive things, but there's some other drivers too. So yes, during the interglaciation, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Forest in Greenland, forest in Greenland. So it had to be warmer. Had to be warmer. The CO2 content in the atmosphere has been higher. Plants have the stomata. It's the little pores in the plant's skin. The stomata on plants are set already to be, and they're optimized for 1,200 parts per million. Right now we're at 400 parts per million. If you want plants to grow better, you up the CO2 in the atmosphere of the greenhouse, and it will grow far better. There you go, Nom. So yeah, interglacials are usually 10,000 years. So yeah, the younger dryas might have changed it. We were actually seem to be coming out of younger dryas, kind of swept us back into it. So there's some variabilities in the cycles and so forth. But if you look over the last 2 million years, you know, it's just been one glaciation after another, after another, after another, with little brief interglacials. And we're in one of those interglacials, but we're long in the tooth where we're at. Global warming is going to take us back and cook us all. That's what they tell us, right? Just look at the trend lines. People say, hey, you got to pay attention to science. That is the science. It's in geology. It's there. The Vostok ice core samples, tree ring samples, what they're digging up in Greenland. It's all there. The cycles are there. And you can go back, you know, you look at the temperature projections 450, 500 million years back. The last 65 million years, we've been on a decline. Wow. With brief little spikes, a couple of little spikes there, one like 50 million years ago. Everybody talks about how hot it was. Compared to when the dinosaurs were alive, it was much hotter. So is it going to turn around? We're talking about a little blip for, you know, some people are saying CO2 is going to give us this little blip. You might welcome it if it could happen. Already dropping off. Well, what are we having right now? What did Al Gore tell us 10, 15 years ago? Why did he write that book? I think I got that thing in pieces around here somewhere. Fell apart like everything else he does. That's why the book fell apart. Got a copy somewhere. I have to find where it is. Anyway. These cycles, if they're not, you know, so they're not all exactly the same. You'll get constructive and destructive interference with any cycles. Constructive interference is like, it's like sine waves. If you got two sine waves and they're in sync, you won't notice anything. But if they're a little bit out of phase, you're going to get an interference. So when the peaks, if they're both the peaks are at the same time, the interfered peak, the constructive interference is the peak's going to be twice as high. If you get a valley on one wave hitting when the peak of the other hits, it is destructive interference and you have no peak or trough. Greg, buddy, we need to live cast an episode of the ISM Mars base. ISM, what is ISM? We need to live cast an episode of the ISM. You want to do the one with I don't know what sine wave is. There you go. We talking about the one with on Kotley? Some thumbs up, guys. How many got? Okay. We got 30 in the room. 14 data sets all say the same thing. Well, yeah, they got a spacecraft museum in Kotley. Is that what you're talking about? I forget what I forget the exact name of it. That's part of the sim. There's a spacecraft museum there, or there was. There was Greg's Habitat. They renamed it though. They just called Greg's Habitat for a long time. There's a lot of space flight museums here on Earth. There's the one in. I'm thinking by that I mean not in the sim. We got one right here called the Space and Rocket Center. There's one up in Washington, D.C., the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. There is the one in Houston. There's one down in Florida. International Space Flight Museum. That you're talking about the one in Kotley, aren't you? You know, you been in Kotley, Joy? Have you been there? You know what I'm talking about? Are you are you Mike by any chance? M1K3? Are you Mike? We have Mike in the house. Mike is the builder. I don't know who M1K3 is. Are you Mike? Hey, he's the builder. Yeah, I've been showing it. Mike Laurie. Yes, Mike Laurie is the builder of the sim. All right, we got the sim builder in the house for the Mars habitat. Yeah, let's do a live. Let's go in live. You're going to have to retrain me on it, Mike. It's been too long since I've been in there. Last time I went in there was one of the, I just showed, hey, I was showing it on here earlier. The last time I went in there was back for, and I missed the party. I went in afterwards. I went into the, for the Yuri's night. Forest in Greenland. Let's go back and read your comments. Anybody don't know Mike? Mike is a libertarian. He is, man, he can program like crazy, man. He built an incredible simulation. I can't remember the name of the museum, Mike. So when you started talking about it, I go, wait a minute, I think that sounds like Mike. It is. Very good. Very, very good. So guys, this guy built one heck of a simulation. Mike Laurie. He built one heck of a simulation in Kotley. Yeah, he built this big internet, this big museum, but he moved everything around. So I used to play Second Life. It's like Second Life, but it's really cool. It's really cool. So you can set up an avatar, you can walk around, you can fly, you can do all kind of stuff in this thing. But you can go through rooms and tunnels and just whatever he sets up. He put up a mine. He put up all kind of recycling systems. In 2021, I had a tall 20-foot trees removed. Tried to pull. Okay. Hey, Scratch is in the house. Hey, Scratch. Mike, we need to talk because I got to, you're going to have to train me up again. It's been a long time since I've been in there. Last time I went in, I discovered I was a little rusty. and then we got to figure out how to better handle the audio, especially for a live session. Open Simulator is an open source version of Second Life. You can use Firestorm Viewer for it too. Yeah. I've got the Firestorm. That's how I was going to. Firestorm's how I did it. So I got to make sure I still know my password. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been in there. Well, Mike, we're friends on Facebook. Let's chat there. I know you and especially Rose has invited me in several times for some stuff, but I've been just like crazy, insanely busy. Not That's last Thursday and Friday. I tried to take vacation Friday. I put in for vacation. I wound up working 12 hours Thursday, 12 hours Friday, and I got up Saturday morning. It was on my computer. We're talking work I do for my company until almost 11 o'clock. So it's just my life's insane. Plus, I'm trying to run a microgreens, worm farm, trying to build a mushroom house, and a handful of YouTube channels. I should be put in a straitjacket, trying to design space habitats. So what Mike did in Kitely is phenomenal, guys, because that takes a lot of talent and time and dedication to build up what he built. He built this big International Space Flight Museum in a simulation. It's got tons of stuff in it, a lot of stuff. He built a whole world. He built Mars, but his facilities are underground. See, if you got 6 foot of regolith over your head, you could have a nuclear reactor up there. You're going to survive it if you stay sheltered under the regolith. So but the habitat portion where it's open and windows, we've got water suspended from the ceiling. The water is to absorb the radiation. You've got to absorb that radiation. Texas News Studio. The guy lives in Dallas. Here's Texas News Studio. We got in here. I haven't seen Lee for a little bit. Lee, you still here? You still here, Lee? Data sets. All right, M1K, who you are. Mike Laurie. Mike, I mentioned you several, and every one of those videos I did on it. But I would prefer to go in there with you because he's doing all the life support systems. The life support systems are interesting. So, how you are, Lee? All right. Good to see you still here. Probably getting sleepy. I got to go. Oh, gosh, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning. I got to get up early. The electric blankets in case the power goes out. Oh, yeah. All right, guys, we need to call it a night. I'm not planning to be on here more than 30 minutes. We just get chatting. So good to see Mike. It's almost time to get up. As I'm going to bed, I might meet myself getting up. So I got to be on this thing in the morning. So guys, I appreciate y'all coming here. Thank y'all for joining. I can't just go straight to bed. I really thank y'all for being here. Subscribe to my channel if you're not subscribed. Bang the up notification bell and click on. Hi, Sam. Greg, you're up early. Get up early? Yeah, I'm already up early. Well, I got to get a nap in. I got to sleep at least a couple hours. I don't care where Texas news is from. Oh, I've never even seen Texas news. I got no clue who he is or what he covers. Ready to water. There you go. Hey, doing our Cat's Prize. Before that, when we did our Halo So-1 rocket, the one that got us this, we had a guy who was a master's degree in aerospace engineer from MIT. And we're out there building this rocket. We got one of our guys got to tease him and says, Ronnie, that was his name, said, would you run up Ace Hardware and get me a 40-pound bag of dehydrated water? And believe it or not, what? Dehydrated water? What are you talking about? And Tim just played along like he was serious. And Ronnie tried to slough it off, but I didn't even hear that. I totally missed that. The next day, I had a car that had an old car, I was driving a Buick LeSabre, big land yacht with a Trans Am 427 in it. And a rusty land. I was going down the road, I was nervous because everybody would see me in the rearview mirror and they go, oh shit! And then park and get out of my way. So it's like parking the sea. I was Moses when I drove a car. Wow, I'd fly. But anyway, well, I had a busted radiator in it. So, so I was stranded up North Carolina when we made our raccoon launch, just after the raccoon launch, we got the Guinness Book. Next day, I was stranded up there at Topsail Beach. It's spelled Topsail. The local pronounces Topsail. They don't pronounce sail, they call it soul. But anyway, so Ronnie and a couple of the guys stayed behind with me. Was walking along after going to the repair shop, looking for a place to eat. Ronnie walked up to me. Greg, what's this about powdered water? I said, oh, Ronnie, it's just an isotope of, it uses a different isotope of oxygen, 16, it's 14, it's lighter weight. I was just trying to go with it. He said, well, I want to use it for ISS. And it's so great, and I just trying to play them. I didn't hear anything that happened before that, but I played them along for quite a while. We had some fun out of them. The hydrated air. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you can get the hydrated air. We had that up in Alaska. TNS. Oh boy. So, sometimes you just got to mess with people, you got to kind of run. It's funny to a guy from MIT with, a master's, a PhD. Yeah, I mess with PhDs all the time. But Ronnie, he really fell for that. It was funny. So, and I know he fell for it because it was bugging him enough. He had to come ask me about the next day. And I had no prior knowledge of the joke my buddy Tim played on it. Now you can watch Tim Pickens. He and I did a few videos, at least 2, maybe 3 videos on this channel. Bill Brown did a video with him, maybe 2 on this channel, talking about our Halo and Heart Raccoon days where we launched hybrid rockets and altitude balloons. And this is one of our test motors. You've probably seen my test stand out the side behind my house. You used to be on the back of my truck. You probably saw it first there. It's behind my house now in the woods. We tested this motor on that test stand about a mile from here, actually. The grass airstrip, about a mile from where I'm at now. And we've tested motors mostly in Gurley. We had quite a little test complex at Gurley for a long time. But there it is, guys. But we've had some fun. Now, Ronnie was a great analyst. You give him some problems, number crunching, put it all in an Excel spreadsheet, and he could just go nested 24 layers deep, several wide, and sheets everywhere, and he'd be humming like he was skipping through a forest on a sunny day. Oh, try to avoid water, huh, Mike? Yeah, buddy. Hey, water will poison you if you get too much of it. Yeah, somebody pulled that on Rush Limbaugh. They had him going, talking about how toxic it was, how it caused corrosion, just how bad it was. They had him going. He didn't know what they was talking about. There's a guy I listened to Rush got played real good on that one that day. I was dying laughing. Listen to that. Jordan, I know who died from that poison. There was a girl who was in this radio contest, how much water you can drink, killed her. She overdid it. Yeah, you can overdo anything. Problem is most of us are dehydrated. We don't drink enough water. But all right, hey, Michael Sherman, thanks for joining us. Guys, I got to go. It's really 4 o'clock in the morning here. Like I said, it's almost time to get up. Anyway, well, how long we been online here? 73 minutes. Holy guac and smoke moly. Yeah, I need to live about 30 minutes. I'm thinking Force Recruiting Office. Drops is an engineer. I'm an engineer. I would say M1 droid. You got to be an engineer. You should see what he designed in Kylie. It's just that habitat is, and everything else he designed. He designed a whole bunch of stuff in there. It's just amazing. It's a lot of time. I wished I had time to develop the skill for that. All right, ladies, for joining. All righty, Kim Jong-un's sister is making threats again. Yeah. Here's the crazy thing. See, these guys are kind of like people that are child stars that grow up. How spoilt they are and how their whole worldview is extremely distorted. They live in a fantasy world. And when you got people living in a fantasy world and they got their fingers on the big red button, ooh, who knows? It's not good. It's not good. So, Jamin, best channel on YouTube. Well, thank you, Zen. Appreciate it. All right, guys. Yeah, I wish more people thought that. We got to promote this. Help share my videos, guys. Yeah, I got to get out here too. Mike, you're over on the East Coast, aren't you? What'd you do? Get up for breakfast? I teach classes on Sundays and Tuesdays about designing 3D models with Blender design application. Cool. Wow. Maybe one of these days I'll find time to take that. I'd love to have that kind of capacity under my hip pocket. Yeah, not that child star. Yeah. God, you know, just think about how many people that were child stars maintain when they're adults. You think about these people who are raised in a world where they got all this adoration, you know, these to-be dictators, like in especially a dictator. I mean, you know, you become the king, you know, you know, the whole thing about, you know, the invisible clothes, right? Dog woke me up for a walk. Oh, okay. I haven't been to bed yet. Yeah, you're a time zone east. You're in Eastern time zone. Thanks, guys. All right, guys, let's call it a night here. Long enough. We've done 3 videos in a row. So I'll thank everybody for being here. Thank you all for watching. And we'll do more of these. And I got some stuff I got to work up. And I need to get with Mike and do a live session going into the habitat. So I'm going to bring it to y'all live. Nap time. Yeah, that's just about it. Nap time. That's what we got to do. Take a nap and get up and go back to work. Me and Kim's sister were born 9/26. But I was born in 88. She was born in 87. Oh, she's a year older. Okay, Anton. 88. Okay. All right, Anton. I got a son born in 80 and a daughter born in 82, but my last one was born in 97. Almost. Yeah. All right, Pioneer. Have a good one. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming in. Thank y'all for watching.